Have you ever looked at a tattoo and wondered how it stays on our skin for years without ever completely fading away? When a tattoo is applied, the ink is injected into the second layer of skin called the dermis, which is stable and does not shed. But it's not just that. When the needle penetrates the skin, it creates small wounds. In response to that, our body sends immune cells to the wounds to remove any foreign substances. However, tattoo ink particles are too large for immune cells to remove completely. Thus, the ink remains in the skin for years to come. Have you ever stepped outside after a rain and got mesmerized by that heavenly aroma? Before it is going to rain, there's always that distinctive smell in the air, which is caused due to ozone. Ozone is a molecule made of 3 oxygen atoms, and it is produced when there's lightning strikes in the air. This is the main reason you can tell whether it's going to rain or not by just smelling the air. But the main component of the rain smell is actually petrichor, which occurs during and after the rain. Petrichor is a combination of 2 compounds, geosmin, a bacteria, and an oil produced by plants called terpenes. When raindrops hit the ground, they release these compounds into the air, creating that iconic scent. So the next time you're caught in a rainstorm, take a deep breath and enjoy the scent of nature. Did you know that astronauts have a secret power? It turns out that being in space can make you taller. That's right, astronauts can gain up to 2 inches of height in space. This is because due to lack of gravity, there's no pressure pushing down on their spines, which allows them to stretch out. So not only do they get to float around in space, but also to brag about being taller than their earthbound friends. However, don't worry, this growth is temporary, and once the astronauts are back to Earth, their height goes back to normal after a few months. Have you ever wondered how astronauts write in space? In space, both pen and pencil doesn't work due to lack of gravity. So in 1960, Paul Fisher designed the space pen to solve the problem of writing in zero gravity. Normal pens rely on gravity to pull the ink down onto the page, but in space, there is no gravity to do this job. The space pen uses nitrogen to pressurize the ink cartridge that forces the ink out of the cartridge onto the page. The Fisher space pen can work under all conditions, whether it's zero gravity, underwater, intense heat, freezing cold, and of course even upside down. Have you ever wondered why our eyes sometimes turn red in photos? Well, the answer lies in the structure of our eyes. Our eyes contain a layer of tissue called the choroid, which is rich in blood vessels. Under normal circumstances, the amount of light that enters our eyes is regulated by the pupil. However, in low light conditions such as when taking photos with flash, the pupil can't contract quickly enough, and as a result, the flash reflects off the choroid, creating the red eye effect. The easiest way to avoid red eye is to avoid taking photos in low light conditions, or have a camera that has a red eye reduction feature. Have you ever seen birds fly in V formation and wondered why they do it? Firstly, flying in V formation allows birds to conserve their energy. As the birds flap their wings, they create a small vortex of air behind them, which can actually help push the bird behind them forward. Secondly, flying in V formation helps birds to navigate. The bird at the front of the formation sets the direction, while the other birds follow its lead. And finally, flying in V formation helps birds to stay together as a group and communicate with each other easily. Have you ever wondered why most toothpaste tubes have a colored square or stripe at the end? This little colored mark is actually much more than just a decoration, and it serves a vital purpose during the manufacturing process. Many people on the internet believe that the color blocks denote the kind of ingredients in each tube of toothpaste, which is a complete myth. You see, when toothpaste tubes are made, they go through a printing stage where labels and designs are added. The colored square stripes acts as a reference point for aligning the printing machinery. It is a very small but essential part of the manufacturing process, making sure that the toothpaste tube looks alright. Have you ever wondered why notebooks have margin lines? Well, the answer might surprise you. It turns out that margin lines were actually created to combat a very annoying problem. Back in the day, before modern pest control methods were available, mice were a common problem in both home and offices. They would often chew on paper, causing important information to be lost. To combat this issue, notebook manufacturers started adding margin lines to the paper. These lines created a boundary that mice would be less likely to cross, thus preventing any important information from being lost. Other than that, they also provided space for notes, doodles, and corrections, helping to keep the written work neat and organized. Have you ever wondered why our keyboard layout is so strange? I mean, the keys could be in alphabetical order, then why are they so random? You see, the story goes back to the early days of typewriters, where the keys would jam if the operator typed too quickly. To prevent this, Christopher Shaw, the inventor of typewriter, came up with the QWERTY layout as a way to slow down the typing speed. The idea worked, and QWERTY layout has since then become the standard of all keyboards, which is still used until today. Did you know that in space a candle flame looks completely different? This is because in zero gravity, the flame of a candle is shaped like a sphere. On Earth, gravity causes hot air to rise and cooler air to sink, which creates the classic teardrop shape of candle flame. But in space, flame diffuses evenly in all directions, thus forming a perfect sphere of hot gas. Handshaking is a universal gesture that we all use to greet each other. But have you ever wondered where it came from and why we do it originally? The origin of handshake is a shrouded mystery, but the earliest known depiction of a handshake is an ancient Assyrian relief of the 9th century BC, which shows the Assyrian king Shalmaneser III shaking the hand of the Babylonian king Marduk-Zakir-Shumi I to seal an alliance. The handshake was used then as a symbol of peace, to show that neither person was carrying a weapon. Today, handshake is a widespread symbol of respect and trust. In personal life, a handshake can be used to greet someone, while in business setting, it can be used to indicate that an agreement has been reached. To hear more interesting facts like this, make sure to like and follow us.